Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, and London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys from Canada, you know we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe, but there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and home of the brave on a beautiful October 15th, 2018. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, it's been a beautiful day down south, but it's also been a tough day in the world of sports, unfortunately. One of the mainstays of the NFL and NBA passed away this afternoon, Charlton. Paul Allen, one of the original foremen of Microsoft, along with Bill Gates.
Oh, really?
And the owner of the Seattle Seahawks and the Portland Trail Blazers, today passed away, Charlton, at the age of 65 up in the Northwest from Liskin-Hoscoma cancer.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the sports world will lose a great patriarch. When you think about what he's done for that Seattle area, Charlton, and keeping the Seahawks there in town, getting a stadium built, Charlton, leading them to their first Super Bowl championships and then back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, and also keeping the Portland Trail Blazers, Charlton, in an area that had lost the Seattle Supersonics already.
Yeah.
And kept that area afloat, Charlton, built a new arena there, Charlton. Not only that, he was one of the great, people out there, humanitarians in society, Charlton.
Yeah.
As much money as through philanthropy that he had put out to help organizations and fund causes, Charlton.
Yeah.
He's a great American. He was a great sports figure, Charlton. He'll be sorely missed.
Well, I did not know, so thank you for letting me know that, Big C. We offer our prayers to the Allen family and even to the sports world because he's done a lot. I mean, at a time like this, you just be grateful for every moment you have. Life is a gift. We have to open it every day. I do want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern Californian Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. I was thinking about some of the things that we got to be grateful for. And I know we talked so much about what we're grateful for. You think about Allen, and he's done so much in his life that a lot of people, it will live on. I want to take you back, Big C, on the Friday show. We had talked about, will Major League Baseball do anything to pay homage to the Negro Leagues that were disbanded because of the influx and the integration of baseball with none other than the great Jackie Robinson. And because the lack of knowledge or the lack of care, Major League Baseball really hasn't paid homage to the Negro Leagues. But what they have been doing, and you'll see it tonight on the Negro Leagues, they don't say the Negro Leagues, Big C, but they do honor. They have the Jackie Robinson. They have the pennant of number 42 on their lapels. And I think that, in one way, is not really paying homage because it signifies just Jackie Robinson. And just like Paul Allen had a big influx in sports, Big C, so did the Negro Leagues, but they only wore the pennant and paid no homage to the league. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's one of those bygone eras that, society has moved beyond and is not really thinking about the impact and influence of African Americans in sports, Charlton. People now are into the social media aspect of what's been done for me lately. What am I getting out of you now?
Yeah.
There's not many fans, Charlton, other than being reminded of Jackie Robinson, who even knows who Jackie Robinson is.
Yeah.
And most young players, Charlton, other than having that lapel and having the Jackie Robinson celebration day commencement ceremony in baseball, really knows Jackie Robinson. But the impact that he brought to the game, Charlton, is what they're most devoid of.
Yeah.
And when we look at society, as far as asking society to recognize many of the contributions of African Americans in the history and development of this American society, we're not going to get it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, so that seminal small recognition that Major League Baseball is doing by putting the number 42 on a jersey or a uniform, Charlton. I mean, we have to be grateful for what we can get in society nowadays. It's just like anything else.
Yeah.
People say, well, why do you people still complain? Okay, why can't we just vote freely like you can?
Yeah.
That's the reason why we complain.
Yep, I agree, Big C. That's so important. So even in the baseball universe, I want to bring up something. American League and National League Championship Series have gone the maximum 7 games, only 16 times since 1985 when MLB made it a series best of 7. And I would think that you could pay homage to that all the time. So I'm just grateful for the fact that, Big C, you brought so much knowledge to the sports universe, because you do have a depth history at knowing what's going on. And this is also an important one I'm going to mention, because we talk about sports and we talk about people being able to pay attention to their favorite sports teams and things that matter to all of us, Big C. CNN News, now, they're talking about expanding the voting universe. They said to expand the vote universe. And that Big C Sports is the only one that talks like that. We always talk about don't be a sycophant, don't just be a dumb jock. Would you believe that there's civil rights groups in Georgia that are suing over alleged voter suppression? Reported by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that Georgia is a racialized state. 75%, actually 75 of the governors have all been white men. Stacey Abrams is an African-American woman trying to become the first African-American governor, and she trails Brian Kemp by 1 point. Of all this Georgia vote obstruction happening against black Americans, while prominent black sportscasters are all focused on sports only. What a shame that Dr. King gave his life for this, for us just to talk about sports. That's why I said that Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. Big C, 53,000 votes in predominantly black districts have been obstructed and none counted. That's egregious, as people want to know, will LeBron James drop 30? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at that Georgia gubernatorial race, Charlton, where you have Stacey Abrams seeking to become the first black governor of a black state in America, and her opponent is the Attorney General of the state. His name is Brian Kemp. He's in charge, him and his office, of counting the votes. Now, she has filed a lawsuit, Charlton, to ask him to recuse himself from the Attorney General office, which he is, does not want to do.
He doesn't want to do it.
And he's holding 53,000 ballots, Charlton, saying that they cannot be verified as legal residents of the state. Now, you think about it. You're the opponent, and you're automatically having your office hold 53,000 ballots. That's the difference in the vote for governorship, Charlton, of that state. So when you look at people say, why are black people always angry? Why can't they just accept what's going on? Think about if you took 53,000 white residents and held their votes and said they're not legal residents of a county. Because they may have put a comma in the wrong place or a period in the wrong place in filling out their ballot. And a lot of these are elderly people, Charlton, because they don't travel, and a lot of the rural voting polls
they don't drive.
Have been closed down. And when you look at a lot of elderly citizens, people should look at their parents and their grandparents. They all still don't drive today. And so you don't have a need for a driver's license. You may have an ID, and sometimes you don't even do that. But they're saying you have to have valid ID. And they're going to say that a Social Security card or a birth certificate is not valid ID when it comes to that. So it makes it very difficult. And if people want to say, why can't we all just get along and have equality in America, then you can't strip people of their inevitable rights of voting.
I agree.
Voting should be a birthright in America, regardless. It should transcend race in America. That we all are one nation. We're all Americans. So why do you want to devoid a certain sector of Americans the right to vote?
I agree.
The right to seek equality, the right to have equal life in America, Charlton. That's what is occurring. And you have to look at what part of America is oppressing that. It comes from white America. When the Supreme Court stripped out part of the Voting Rights Act, why do you need to take away a Voting Rights Act? That's an American right. So when you say that somebody's anti-American, anti-military, that's anti-American and anti-military to take away someone's voting rights.
I agree very much. We talk about the late Paul Allen and how much he added to the world of the sports universe, but also think about the fact that he had the chance to do anything he wanted to do. So that was important. When you think about people who can vote and people who have a right to go out and get business and do anything they want to do, as white Americans, it's never been obstructed. So my cry, it's not even a cry, it's a shout. In fact, it's a proclamation. Mainstream media won't do it. It's going to take black men and women, and I know you're on a sports show, but oftentimes that's the only place a lot of people get their news is watching sycophants, athletes, and newscasters, Big C. At least have people Google some of the things that are going on. Even if you had a 1-minute segment, you run commercials for 30 seconds and also 60 seconds. They can do a 1-minute PSA. That's so important that that's happening under our noses as people are saying, do you think the Warriors are going to repeat as champions? Do you think LA can reach the Western Conference Finals? And I challenge every African-American man, and it's easy to say, well, they work for the white man or the mainstream, but if you have any decency or any intelligence, if you're not just intellectually vapid, go to your station program producer and have them know this is important, because the people that are having the vote obstructed, they look like your parents. You can't speak up to them. They've always spoken up for black causes. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when we want to have a cause spoken for, and especially now, you think about the backlash that many African-American athletes get.
We get it too, Big C. We get it too.
We get it all the time. They get it all the time. But why do you get it? And who gives you the backlash? When you think about opposing a part of society, why would you want to do that? We just had a hurricane down in Mexico City, Florida.
Yep.
That wiped out 85-90% of the town, Charlton.
Wow.
And that hurricane was non-biased, Charlton.
Yep.
It didn't worry about your denomination. It didn't worry about your ethnicity. It was an equal opportunity scenario. That it got everybody that was in its plight, Charlton.
Yep.
So why in America do we have to be so divisive, whether it's in sports, whether it's in politics? Why does only a certain sector get appalled at another sector, Charlton? And it's mainly when black America tries to do something for themselves, whether it's in sports, whether it's in politics, is that white America becomes appalled. Why can't you people just be happy letting us be in control?
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically the unsung word. Why can't you just be happy with us being in control?
Well,
it's like when I sit up and I watch a game, Charlton, and everybody that I look giving all the directions and orders are 95% white, Charlton.
Yep.
Whether it's in baseball, basketball, the coaches, they're saying that the only one that's knowledgeable enough to be a coach is a white guy.
Yep.
But yet you go out and 80% of those white guys have losing records.
Yep.
And that's acceptable.
Yeah.
So how knowledgeable are they about getting across their ideas? I mean, I look at Scott Frost, the head coach of Nebraska.
Yeah.
All-American, national championship quarterback when he was in college. But he got there, Charlton, by taking the directions of somebody else.
Yep.
He's gone back there and shown that he doesn't have those same leadership qualities.
No.
Because the university that he left, the University of Central Florida, whose players were 70% black on that team, Charlton, are still winning without him.
Yep.
So they have the knowledge and the ability to execute on their own, because the other coach came in, Josh Heupel, walked into the players and said, look, you tell me what I need to do to help you.
Yep.
Because you guys are already winners, and I don't want to mess that up.
I agree.
So I'm here seeking your advice to help me keep my job and keep you winning.
That's
what knowledge will do in society, Charlton. So he embraced the young African-American athletes, saying that you guys are knowledgeable enough to do this. I just don't want to mess it up while I'm here.
Yeah, I think that's so important. So just speak your mind. We're only here on this planet for a very short period of time when you consider how long and how old the universe is. We're just here for the blink of an eye. So you may as well speak from the heart and let people know what you want, because that's the only way things change. I'm just proud of what we've done with our platform with Big C Sports, that we chose not to run on that same side of the track as a dumbed-down sportscaster who thinks that you're so ignorant that all you can focus on is how many points somebody scored in the game. And I just got to say this, some guys that I've actually respected playing the game, and even sometimes watching them as a commentator, there are guys who are arguing over what athlete is better when the black vote is being obstructed in Georgia. I'm talking 2018. I'm talking this month. And all we care about is will the Raiders win a game across the pond? Do you think Tom Brady's going to win a game versus Patrick Mahomes? And that's all they talk. I just think it's a shame, and kids spending time with those guys are really losing out. I do want to touch on some things that are so important also in the sports universe. On the high school level, Big C, we do Friday Night Lights. I want to congratulate national #1 St. John Bosco of Bellflower. They knocked off last year's #1 national champion, Mater Dei of Santa Ana, in Southern California. Both teams are from the same league, Big C. We talked about how many teams are traveling across the country. from Florida to California to play a game. The teams ranked 1 or 2 in the country are in the same league in LA. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you have these teams traveling across the country, which is a disadvantage to the local teams. It's like in college football when you have Alabama that doesn't play a non-ranked, non-conference team on the road. They won't travel. They bring these cupcakes into their house, and then you take these nationally ranked college teams, Charlton, and fly them across the country.
Yeah.
What you do is that you give them an advantage because you pay these schools to travel. They're not traveling for free.
No.
So when they have an opportunity to financially improve their program over other teams within their conference, Charlton, and a lot of these schools are private schools.
Yeah.
And when you think about the financial advantage that they have over the local district high schools, Charlton, it's really unfair because it's almost like putting a junior college against a high school.
Yeah. I tell you what, Big C, they've done it. And they'll keep doing it because the money is so good. It's actually on television. I do want to say congratulations again to Friday Night Lights and St. John Bosco and Mater Dei for playing such excellent football. They have projected, Big C, there's 40 Division I prospects on both teams. And speaking of Division I prospects, we talked about last Friday that a couple of teams in the top 10 of college football would actually take the plunge, Big C. And taking that plunge, there's been a lot of them knocked off. But let's just run down a couple of things that happened. Number 1, Alabama. They go to 7-0. They knocked off Missouri 39-10. I don't recall the point spread, but to win by 29, I know the point spread was close to that. See your thoughts.
Well, the point spread was actually 28.5. So
I knew you'd know that.
they got within in a striking distance of the point spread.
Yeah.
But, this Alabama team, Charlton, is just a juggernaut.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you look at them and you look at strength of schedule, I make that point. You have to look at the quality wins. Every win that they have is a quality win, but you also got to go back and look at who they face, their opponents, Charlton.
Yeah.
Who are their opponents playing? They haven't played anybody on their schedule yet, Charlton, that really has a winning record.
Yeah.
Against a Division I opponent, a team in the top 25. So that's the effort to look at. Alabama, is going to be what they are. I think, at some point this week and next week that, the commissioner of the SEC and Mark Amos, the director of the Ncaa, and who's the commissioner of the NFL?
Goodell, Roger Goodell.
They're all going to get on a call and try to find a way to get Alabama into the NFL. Because when we look at some of the lackluster performances that go on in the NFL and how Alabama goes out and trounces, they're going to figure out an economic advantage to have Alabama play college and pro games, because it's going to be double dipping in the money.
Well, a lot of the college programs, the college All-Americans used to play the Super Bowl champion, but they snuffed that out. Also, West Virginia went down to Iowa State. We talked about how it's tough to beat Iowa State at times. They have a knack of knocking people off. They got Oklahoma last year, and then this year they get West Virginia. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, they've knocked off 6 of the 9 last top opponents that they face, the top 10 opponents that they face.
Yeah.
This is a program, Charlton, that when you go into Ames, Iowa, Charlton, in the middle of the night, and it's cold, and it's damp, and the grass is slippery out there, it slows you down. But we had talked about West Virginia, and we were having a bad game the week before because he had thrown 3 interceptions and was down at halftime in the previous game, Charlton. And it came back to bite him, Charlton, this week because he had a slow start. West Virginia just could not come from under that thumbprint of Iowa State as they got off to a big lead, Charlton. And when you're constantly trying to fight back, I don't care how good you are. Everybody knows that you're throwing the ball.
Everybody knows you're throwing the ball. Another surprise. Now, in reality, a lion would maul a bulldog. We know that. It'd be tapping out in the first round. In fact, if it even lasted that long, Big C. But anyone think the fact that Georgia would go down and just give up everything they had as far as the hopes for a national championship in their loss to LSU? It wasn't even a game where it looked like they didn't show up. And I know I was one of them thinking that it would be better off if LSU played that game at nighttime but they played it in the daytime. You ever been robbed in broad daylight, Big C? Your thoughts? They still can't find that dog, Big C. He like your dog.
Well, that reminds me of the 72 Olympic basketball team, Charlton, when they were robbed by the Russians and Olympic Federation there in Munich, Germany.
How dare you accuse Russia of doing anything wrong, Big C? Blood, doping, and robbery? Come on, Big C.
But you know, when you look at that game, I said that LSU would be smitten.
Yep.
Coming off that tough loss to Florida, that they gave it up at the end. Joe Burrow had thrown his first interception, Charlton. It cost his team a victory.
Yep.
And he came out, guns blazing, lights on fire, Charlton, down in Death Valley during the daytime. So I guess they left the lights on because they wanted Georgia to see who was kicking their butt that day. And I don't know if that bulldog got too close to that tiger cage, Charlton, because, he wouldn't even have time to barbecue him,
Yeah.
But LSU and Ogeron, Charlton, might be getting a little respect finally.
Yeah.
In the coaches' polls and around the country, they might forget about his raspy voice and start thinking about how well his team is playing.
Yeah, that's true when you think about how well a team is playing. And also, another coach that may have been on that hot seat, if you go out to Southern California, you look at the fact that the Trojans had gotten off to a bad start, losing at Stanford and then losing at Texas. A lot of people had written them off, but Big C Sports, when all the pundits, whether in the mothership, that's called ESPN, they picked that Colorado going to the Coliseum and snapped the Trojans' home win streak, and we said no on Big C Sports. USC gets that win for Helton, 31-20 at the Coliseum, knocking Colorado out of the opportunity to even talk about playing for a national football championship. Give me your thoughts on that young Southern California team. They still have a young quarterback, JT Daniels, who would be at Mater Dei last year, Big C. But this team, the Trojans are like an up and down team. You never know what you're going to get, but they are defending their home turf, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it was a much-needed victory for Clay Helton just to keep his hopes alive of keeping a job.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford to go down another game in the Pac, but it all but eliminated all but one team in the Pac-12. That's Oregon, with the only team left on the West Coast that has a chance of getting into the college football playoffs, Charlton.
Yeah.
And they had a hard-fought victory against the University of Washington. We said that Oregon would handle business because they had the better passer of the two.
Yep.
But, you think about the same player, Charlton, that won the game from Oregon rushing for the touchdown was the same player that cost him the game against Stanford.
Yeah.
When he fumbled the ball with about a minute to go and, sent that game in overtime.
Yeah.
So when you look at Lorraine Charlton and making a difference from goat to hero, that's what college football is all about. Is that you might look bad and feel sad for a couple of minutes, Charlton.
Yeah.
But the next minute, you're beloved by everybody in the state.
Yeah, it's easy to get love when you win. And I just want people to know that you can Google even ESP. Excuse me, I gotta get some cat hair in my throat, Big C. I don't know. I've been hanging around with a lot of cats lately, Big C.
You shouldn't be down the LSU.
It might be dog hair, Big C. But even Kirk Herbstreit and them good old boys on the ESPN, the ones that stole our universe commercial, the football universe, they made it his own voice. They got it from Big C Sports. They won't pay up much, but they also picked Washington to win the game. And we told everyone that Oregon would win. How did we know? I mean, how did Big C Sports know compared to ESPN, Big C? How did we know what they don't know, that Oregon would win that game, and they went to overtime and they won it? And you think about it, Oregon will have to run the table and get to the Pac-12 championship. They've knocked off Washington. They still got to have Stanford lose someplace, and I think they will. But they'll most likely play USC in what's going to be the Pac-12 Conference Championship out on the West Coast. I want to just finish up one more thing, though. We talked about Miami spending all their emotion last week against Florida State in that game where they came from behind, that they would be in trouble versus Virginia. Now, Big C Sports reported that too. Do you watch these games before they go on tape? Because I'm just wondering, because, I was scouring all of the internet, I was scouring the TV for ESPN, Big C. I have a hard time saying that word. Sometimes the information is so wrong. But Big C, you picked that Miami shot their load in the Florida State game, and they gave it up. And they gave it up to Virginia, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you could see that they were lacking the emotion, and they kept celebrating all week long. When you spend that much time celebrating, Charlton, against people that you know and you spent your life growing up with, you don't always look into that next week's game, Charlton. And they hadn't even had to make a quarterback change in that game, but Virginia came ready to play. Coach Mendenhall had his team prepared, and he let them know that this is a team that's going to come in and lack emotion because they spent it all the week before. We have a game plan that we need to execute. We need to pound them with the football because that's what Florida State had done the week before. They pounded them with the football. They showed that they were susceptible to the run, Charlton, and Virginia took it to them on the ground and came out with a hard-fought victory in the ACC.
Well, think about another team that's coming on strong that we also talked about, the University of Texas. If they could ever get the Texas program in the right direction, because they have a lot of good talent down in Texas. And now you look at Tom Herman in Texas, pulled out a narrow win over Baylor. They go to 5-1, and his predecessor, the guy that lost his job, Charlie Strong, is now 6-0 at Central Florida. I guess Charlie doesn't know much about coaching. He's still undefeated, Big C. But give me your thoughts on the landscape of college football when Texas is winning, because they always have the athletes to win, Big C, but sometimes you just don't get the support from some of the alumni, and Strong did not get that support, Big C. Your thoughts on Texas?
Well, you know, Charlton, it also comes down to the players that you have from another coach, whether they're willing to play for you. But you can also see that, you know, that what Charlie Strong did was left the cupboards full, Charlton. The players that they're playing with, you know, Ellinger is a developing young quarterback. He's somebody that Charlie Strong recruited. Charlton brought him into the University of Texas. He got hurt in the game, and another quarterback that Charlie Strong had, Sam Michelle, Charlton, actually came in and won the game. Pulled it out for Texas. So it shows the depth when they say, well, you got to get your own players in. This game proved that two quarterbacks that were recruited by Charlie Strong were the depth that Texas needed to win that game, Charlton. And they pulled it out against Baylor. Baylor had an opportunity last play of the game. Pass was too high in the back of the end zone. Baylor was trailing by 6. But Texas is moving up in the rankings and getting a lot of, you know, national recognition now, Charlton. They still have a couple of tough opponents on the record, so it's not smooth sailing yet. It's always good that Texas barbecue is really good. Tennessee, why do you always go down to Tennessee so much? I was Googling, you say you don't have a restaurant in Tennessee, but you always making runs to Tennessee, Big C. Well, Tennessee finally broke its 11-game conference losing streak by defeating Auburn, them good old boys from Alabama, 30-24. Auburn was hailed as a maybe potential top 4 teams coming into the season. They had that season opening win over the Washington Huskies, and now they've kind of fallen on hard times. They've lost their place, Big C. That's a big win for Tennessee, Big C. Your thoughts? Charlton, huge win. You think about you lost 11 consecutive conference games, Charlton, and you know, to have this big signature win on the road, not at home but at Auburn, that really means something, Charlton. When you can go on the road, you know, I don't know if it will turn around that dastardly orange program there in the state of Tennessee. But, you know, it's a big move. It's a big win, and you're always proud of players, Charlton, when they have an opportunity to have a signature win throughout their career in college football.
I think that's important. Another big guy, another big story, and they tend to turn them over just like a Buckeye is a nut. Well, they turn over a lot of players. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. They just roll in the Buckeye State. Dwayne Haskins became the only quarterback in Ohio State history to have 2 400-yard passing games in a single season to remain undefeated. But still, they struggle since Urban Meyer's come back. Maybe there's something that young people don't get when an old guy is chewing at them, and they've heard it before. But he does win, Big C. Your thoughts on Haskins? Is he overlooked as one of the can't-miss first-round NFL prospects, Big C? Your thoughts?
Charlton, if the draft was held today, he'd be one of the top 3 players picked in the draft. This kid has all the intangibles that it takes to be a top-flight, next-level quarterback. He has the height. He has the demeanor. He has a downfield presence with his pass. When you look, he's putting the passes on the money. He has as many passes dropped as he does. So you think about it. His receivers are the only reason that he's throwing at a lower percentage than what he is. If they caught everything that hit him in the hands, so they'd be completing about 85% of his passes.
I think that's funny.
When you look at where Urban Meyer is, you know, I've watched the progression of this team since his return. And you always look at a guy's demeanor. When they had the assistant head coaching at Charlton during the first 3 games of the season, you saw an uplifting, upbeat sideline all the time. You saw a motivation going on from the assistant coach. You haven't seen that from Urban Meyer. He walks around like a dictator. And I think his demeanor is just rubbed off on the players. It's like, you know, you're not doing anything to help us. And so sometimes your time in a place, you know, moves beyond you.
Yeah.
And when you look at what Ohio State did the first 3 games of the season, Charlton, and, you know, you and I had discussed, you know, right after that Urban Meyer suspension took place, that he would be back after a couple games.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know if they realize whether they did not make a good decision by bringing him back.
I know. You just got to watch how people play. Big C, Michigan gets a big win over Wisconsin. Wisconsin's one of the programs, they always get a lot of acclaim, but they don't do well when they get the chance to earn it. Michigan 38-13 over the Badgers. Now, in reality, I think I've got to ask you this question because we believe in Googling it. Big C, what tastes better, Wolverine or Badger, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, Charlton, when you're looking at those two things, all you want to eat is the quarters. You know, you cut off with the hind quarter and the front quarters. That's the only part that you're going to eat. You want to make sure you make yourself a stew meat out of it. Okay?
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to eat by itself.
Okay, that's what I did wrong.
You want to savor for, you know, for several hours until it gets this bone. You know, also until it just falls right off the bone.
Yep.
The right side, you can't tell one from the other.
You can't tell one from the other. However, Saturday night, America was a sad night for Jerry Jones because Michigan did win, Big C. Your clairvoyancy on the whole with Jerry Jones and them good old boys whooping up on them Jaguars down south. Harbaugh might be staying in Michigan at least another week, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, Jerry had a double nightmare, Charlton, when you think about it, Saturday and Sunday. He was sitting there praying for Michigan to lose because he'd been trying to program Jim Harbaugh into his script. He hasn't been able to do that yet. So, you know, he's trying to get somebody to work that out for him. He'll get a hot one, you know, one of them jailbreak phones and get that taken care of. But also, then he got kicked on Sunday because the Cowboys won. He's like, damn, I got to keep Jason Garrett around. I can't hire Jim Harbaugh. This is going to be a tough week for me.
Yeah, I know. They a lot of them good old boys on the what's that station? On ESPN, they were saying that the good old boy Prescott was not NFL material. I think they're choking on the same hairballs that I was chewing on, Big C, from that restaurant I went to out here on the West Coast. So, Big C, college football was great. I want to also congratulate Jeff Tefferett, the good old boy down at Fresno State, because he has the Bulldogs rolling. They beat Wyoming over the weekend, 27-3 at Bulldog Stadium. Just a lot of good things happening in the sports universe. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry. And boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, tell them Big C sent you. Big C, I want to run down your top 10 college football programs based on what's happened over this weekend. Big C, go right ahead, sir.
Well, Charlton, you know that your boy's down there with Nick Saban. I don't even know what school he's at anymore. Ohio State #1 in the country.
Okay.
But we talked about the disgruntled players at Ohio State and how they haven't been able to perform in front of their head coach.
Yeah.
You know, Urban Meyer. Ohio State will be there at #2. Number 3, Clemson. They were idle this past week, Charlton, but you can't drop a team for being idle and undefeated.
Right.
Notre Dame has finally jumped up into the top 4, Charlton. They had a very abysmal performance this past weekend, but they remain undefeated, Charlton, so they're going to move up to #4.
Yep.
My #5 team, Charlton, in the country is Central Florida. You won 19 straight games. I don't care who you're playing.
Yeah.
And you didn't lose last year. You haven't lost this year. There's no reason you shouldn't be up as the 5th best team in the country, Charlton, when you're undefeated.
Yep.
#6,
I have a hard time with the microphone, Big C. Let me just clear. I think Putin, since they had that fight down in Vegas, our microphones had some bugging going on. I think Putin, we're going to try to clear your mic as you go ahead and finish up on your top 10. I think you had Clemson #3, then you mentioned Notre Dame at #4. Go right ahead, C.
Yeah, Charlton, we had Clemson at #3, Notre Dame snuck in at #4. Central Florida has jumped into the top 5, Charlton, winning 19 straight games, Charlton. I got North Carolina State at #6, Charlton. We will figure out within the next 2 weeks if North Carolina State is legit. They have to play Clemson, Charlton. Both of them are in the ACC.
Yep.
LSU, with their dramatic win over Georgia this past weekend, Charlton, has now moved back up to #7. I got Florida at #8, Charlton, because with their back-to-back victories, Charlton, over LSU and Mississippi, over Vanderbilt, Charlton, they deserve to be up there in that top 10 again, Charlton. Oregon has creeped back in at #9 after knocking off Washington.
Yeah.
They're the sole opportunity for the Pac-12 to make the college playoff series, Charlton. And at #10, Oklahoma, even though they had that loss, Charlton, to Texas, I bring them back into the top 10 because I think that they'll have a better half of the second season.
Well, that's very good news. I'm thinking a lot of college football is really exciting. A lot of people having a great time watching football all over the universe, and we enjoy it too on Big C Sports. I want to just finish up with Chavez Ravine, the Dodgers, of course, playing Milwaukee. So the Dodgers in Milwaukee. Congratulations to those two. The series is tied, and the game 3 winner will most likely win that series. And the Dodgers are at home as long as they don't start Kershaw. I got to go back real quick to the Dodgers because you said don't start Kershaw in game 1 at Milwaukee because excuse me, Kershaw chokes when he starts in the playoffs. Big C, don't let him be a first game starter. I know you're giving him $100+ million, but let him come in game 2 because he's not reliable in game 1. Only Big C Sports will tell you that, but Google Friday show, we told you the same thing, and it came to fruition. And then them good old boys in Houston, they found a way to swing the bats to get that win at Boston last night, and they go back to Texas. Well, maybe they'll get some liftoff, Big C. Before we hit the NFL, just give me your thoughts on those two, because you called it, Big C. Don't start Kershaw. He didn't make it out of the fourth, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the thing about Milwaukee at home, you had to look at all that electricity and that energy coming from those fans and those players having the best record in the NFC, Charlton.
Yeah.
And it proved out in the playoffs. You just don't take a team because they're from a larger market. And Milwaukee has the smallest market in all of Major League Baseball, Charlton.
Yeah.
But the fans won't let you know that, Charlton. You can't always think of television revenue. Television revenue does not generate performance in professional sports, Charlton. It's about the players producing on the mound, and that's what Milwaukee did. They're going to L.A. Series is tied up 1-1, Charlton. There's 3 games going to be played in L.A.
Yeah.
I look at Brewers taking 2 out of those 3, Charlton, going back to Milwaukee with 1 game to finish off. In the American League, Charlton, we got a split there also in Boston, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's going back to Houston, home of the last year's World Series champions. And once you get those Astros under the dome, Charlton, they're a hard team to beat.
Yeah.
Verlander, looked sharp in the first 6 innings, Charlton, but they caught up with him. You got some great bats there in Boston, Charlton. This is going to be a hard-fought series, but I like Houston dominating at home also.
Well, also, speaking of dominating, in boxing, Terrence Crawford wins in a knockout in his home state. Jose Benavidez knocked out in 12 rounds, welterweight title fight. I think that's what happens when you try to headbutt a guy or push him during the press conference, basically trying to get the fight hyped up. Well, it's funny how the guys who act tough were this Conor McGregor, who the last 2 fights he had, he didn't even finish. They had to stop both of them because he got beat up so bad, Big C, by Mayweather, and then also his last fight. And then the same thing happened to Benavidez. Obviously, you show it in the ring, not with your mouth, Big C. I want to touch on some NFL football. And I have a little bit of history that I want to read out to the Raiders. Welcome to New England. The last convict ship called the Hougoumont left Britain in 1867 to Australia, Big C. On the 10th of 1868, January, a total of 165,000 convicts were transported between Great Britain and Australia. A total of 860 ships between 1788 and 1868. You think about that. Some of the members of the Black Hole, they look just like those convicts they were sitting down to Australia, Big C. And there's some reports that some of the Black Hole that showed up in England didn't make it back. They might be on the boat to Australia. And they were still looking for a guy named Gruden because he talked like a lot of those convicts they sit down to Australia, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you think about the Raiders and making that long trip across the water to kick a field goal, score 3 points, and lose a quarterback, that's a heck of a road trip.
Yeah.
That's the one you don't want to go on with your buddies.
Yeah.
But, when everybody looks at the Raiders, Charlton, I think they don't understand what John Gruden's game plan is that he has a 10-year guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
They're going to pay him regardless of what he does, Charlton. So he doesn't have a 2-year plan like most coaches come in to turn around an organization.
Yeah.
He's got a 5 or 6 year plan is what his idea is, Charlton. Because the 2-year plan is just getting to Vegas.
Yeah.
Then he's going to need 2 to 3 years to establish a team once he gets to Vegas. But the players that you see on the Raiders now won't be there, Charlton.
Yeah.
By that time, he'll be and got rid of everybody else.
Yeah.
And put his own blueprint on the Raiders at that point. Well, from the quarterback position on down, Charlton, is what he's looking at. Because right now he's looking at shopping Amari Cooper, who was just the #1 pick just a couple of years ago. Derek Carr, 4,000-yard pass and all-pro quarterback just 2 seasons ago, Charlton, it will be on the chopping block at the end of this season.
Yep.
John Gruden is not trying to win, so I don't know why the media thinks that he is, Charlton, or even Oakland fan base thinking that he's trying to win. He is trying to eliminate everybody that is there to prove for once to everybody in the coaching world that he can build a team.
Yeah.
He didn't build a team when he was in Oakland previously.
Nope.
He went to Tampa Bay. He knows that he's gotten the credit for winning a Super Bowl, but it wasn't with players that he brought in. They were already there in place, John.
Yeah.
Tony Dungy had established that. He wants to have that signature franchise, Charlton, that he said, I developed this franchise from the ground up. So if people are thinking that the Raiders are going to win in the next 2 years under Gruden, no, Charlton. He's looking 5 to 6 years down the road to hopefully establishing a team with only his players involved in it, Joe.
And Big C, who told the sports universe that Gruden was a bad hire? It was Big C Sports when everybody was saying, oh, the Raiders are going to go to the playoffs now because they have a quarterback, a guy who knows how to deal with quarterbacks. Well, we wish everybody well in love and war. I want to go to the Ravens 21, the Titans nothing. How do you, if you have Mariota, you had a team that beat Philadelphia, how do you get shut out by the Ravens after losing on the road to Buffalo, Big C? Your thoughts?
Charlton, I'm trying to figure out the NFL week after week, Charlton. I look at the Tennessee Titans. This is a team that only took 40 snaps offensively. Think about that, 40.
Wow.
You do that in warm-ups.
Yeah.
And Mariota got sacked 11 times
Wow.
in those 40 offensive snaps. He got sacked 22% of the time that they snapped the ball, Charlton, offensively.
Wow.
That's atrocious. And I don't care what level a Pop Warner game, you wouldn't get sacked that much.
Yep.
And I understand that the Ravens have a good defense when they want to play football.
Yeah.
But that was embarrassing. Not only to get your quarterback sacked 11 times, not even score a single point, Charlton, in an NFL game. And Joe Flacco is still hot and cold. You don't know which Joe Flacco is going to show up. The Ravens won this week.
Yep.
Most likely they'll lose next week.
Yeah, you never know. There's ups and downs in the world of the NFL. The Rams in a great game. They showed the good old boys from the West Coast with that perfect 80-degree weather. They could go into a mile high and get a win. What do they call it when you put your moonshine on ice, Big C? They couldn't put the Rams on ice, Big C. The Rams with a 23-20 win over the Broncos. What are your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when I put it on ice, we call it neat. You like to drink it neat. Okay?
Yeah.
But, the Rams were still hot up there when it was cold in Denver.
Yes.
Todd Gurley had a career game, Charlton, rushing for 209 yards. The most yards ever, since Marshall Faulk, eclipsed 200 yards while they were in St. Louis. Shows how dominant a team is. Everybody thinks about the Rams as just a passing team.
Right.
But Todd Gurley and that offensive line, Charlton, will lean on you. And they leaned on the Broncos for 4 quarters and made a difference. You don't always have to rely on Jared Goff.
Right.
Their receiving core was a little beat up, Charlton. In that game, they lost Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
But, they were able to pull it out. Their defense, when needed, Charlton, puts consistent pressure on the opposing offense. Case Keenum just couldn't get it done against that great Rams defense.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you think about Gurley, we've been saying how great he is. 28 carries, 208 yards. I thought Eric Dickerson came back to play for the Rams, but he's like Eric Dickerson, just not as old, Big C, and not as braggadocious. Big C, how about them Cowboys? Jerry Jones with a 40-7 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that left a lot of the pundits that were saying Dak Prescott's the problem. He's not NFL ready. What they having a hard time doing what I was doing. They're going. Big C, those pundits saying that Prescott didn't have it going on. Your thoughts on the Cowboys win?
Well, I look at this, Charlton. Dak Prescott, $800,000.
Wow.
What's the quarterback in Jacksonville? What's his name?
Bortles.
Okay, the guy that's taking the snaps.
They got a quarterback still?
Blake Bortles.
Yes.
$54 million, Charlton.
Wow.
$54 million, Blake Bortles. They just signed in the offseason. Everyone talked about how great the Jacksonville defense was.
Yes.
And I think they really got a little overzealous after they beat New England, Charlton, in that game.
Yeah.
And, they really didn't dominate them. Tom Brady just missed some receivers a couple times. But when you look at this game against Dallas and what Dak Prescott did, Dak Prescott understood that I'm not a 300-yard passer, Charlton.
Yeah.
I need to look underneath because I don't have anybody that's going over the top. He did hit Allen Hurns on a great pass at one point, but he didn't get both feet down.
Yeah. I thought that was just a game that they should.
Ezekiel Elliott
Amazing.
Keep it involved in the offense.
Yeah.
Look at your first, your second option when you're throwing the ball, Charlton. If it's not there, take off running.
Yep.
Dak Prescott could be a very serviceable quarterback in the NFL. If you go back to what Colin Kaepernick did, when that first and second option was on, Charlton, he would utilize his legs.
Yeah.
That's what Dak Prescott can do. Because if he can pick up 50, 60 yards a game, Charlton, on the ground consistently, he doesn't need to pass for 300.
I agree.
Because he moves the chain. That's the key, is moving the chain, keeping the defense off kilter. If you're just a drop back passer, everybody's not Aaron Rodgers.
I agree.
Everybody's not Tom Brady, Charlton. You have to utilize your other assets. And that's what Dak Prescott did. He utilized his other assets, his legs in this game, Charlton. And they embarrassed that Jacksonville defense that everybody said was the best, including us, in the NFL at the start of the season.
That's true.
But they got let down by the quarterback. You think about this, Charlton. In Jacksonville's last two games, they've given up 70 points in their last two games, and they've only scored 21.
Wow.
I don't care how good your defense is. I'm trying to do the math. I don't think you scored enough to win.
That's not enough to win, no. And in the Elliott, great game. He had 106 yards on 24 carries. I want to look at the Vikings, Big C. Your cousin finally showed up, as they say in the black community. He showed off his backside, Big C, and they won 27. Oh, they beat the Cardinals 27-17. That's like a scrimmage, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess if you take a 10-point victory in the NFL, you can take a 10-point victory.
Yeah.
But your cousin, he looked good because he had a running game.
Yeah.
That was when you rely on him to throw all the time, Charlton.
Yep.
You don't get consistency, and that's what he's done for the last 3 years of his career, throwing the ball a lot.
Yep.
Without establishing the running game. The Vikings came out, ran the ball, and that's how they dominated the Cardinals. Although the Cardinals don't offer much offensively, you think about their last two games, they scored 14 and 17 points respectively.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of having a decent defense, and you'll win against them.
Yeah, that makes a big difference for them, Big C. I also want to look at the Steelers. I think Terry Bradshaw's upset because he was saying that Tomlin's not a good coach, and he should be fired for being the second winningest coach currently coaching in the NFL with Super Bowls. He's the third most winningest active coach coaching in the NFL behind Belichick and Andy Reid, who played last night. And last I checked, Andy Reid doesn't have any Super Bowls. But the Steelers with a hard-fought 28-21 win over the Bengals. And I think Tomlin has lost control of the locker room, Big Z. Your thoughts?
But Charlton, when you look at these two teams, it's always a college atmosphere when they get together. And that's how this game was played. I mean, it was tough, hard-nosed, down to the wire, Charlton, down to the last 10 seconds of the game. When Antonio Brown caught that pass, Charlton,
amazing.
It was off of a pick play and with that quick slant for 6. Because Andy Dalton just brought the Bengals back, Charlton, and put them in the lead with less than 2 minutes to go.
Yeah.
But the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, I think he plays the media mentally all the time, saying, well, I got to be better, and, I don't know if I still have enough to play this game. He's just as jubilant as any young rookie out there, Charlton, when he makes a big play.
Yeah.
The Steelers are one of those teams, Charlton, that is on its way back. And you got to give credit to the coach who had to withstand all this media bantering about the Steelers, about they were gone, they were finished, it was time to get rid of him.
Yep.
Hey, Mike Tomlin ain't going nowhere.
So what does Terry Bradshaw do now, though? Because he was saying to get rid of him. I just want to know, because he's a Hall of Famer. He has 4 Super Bowl championships, even though because of Lynn Swann and John Stallworth, and a good guy by the name Mean Joe Green, Dwight White, L.C. Greenwood, Mel Blount, Rocky Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, some of them good old boys, Big C. What does Bradshaw say about Tomlin now?
Well, I guess he has to say that he's an expert broadcaster. He can evaluate talent and coaching.
Yeah.
He knows that a guy can't get the job done, even with a winning record, that, it's a facade.
Yeah.
And he's not going to praise Mike Tomlin regardless of what goes on.
Yeah.
But he will praise other coaches, Charlton, that have losing records.
Yeah.
And he will defend players that are not playing as well as the players on the Steelers, Charlton, whether it's a quarterback, running back. There's something about when you're from where Terry Bradshaw's from.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a mudsucker from Louisiana.
Yep.
And you got to look at the backdrop of Louisiana when he was growing up.
Yeah.
Terry Bradshaw in high school didn't play with any black players.
No.
Okay?
No.
He didn't. And in college, it was just a few. When he got to the NFL, he didn't realize what integration was until he became a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Yeah.
Okay? And he was like, he's looking around. This wasn't the uniform black. There was a whole lot of black players there.
Yeah, that's funny.
So he tolerated the environment that he was in.
Yeah.
Never said he was in love with it.
Yeah, that's why you gotta, when you want the fact, you want the truth, you gotta go to the universe to find the truth, Big C. The Chargers, 38, the Browns, 14. And the Browns are who we thought they were, Big C, the late Dennis Green. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, they are who we thought they were. Everybody was quick to sing Baker Mayfield's praise.
Yeah.
But when you look at the number of turnovers that Baker Mayfield has had in his last 3 games, Charlton, 10. He's had 10 turnovers in the last 3 games. You don't win in the NFL with 10 turnovers.
No.
You don't. Not over a 3-game stretch.
No.
You got to find a way to hold on to the ball. But, you got to play within the parameters of the offense. If you look at what he did in his first game coming in, Charlton, on that game when they beat the Jets.
Yeah.
He cleared the ball on time. He didn't try to extend plays. He didn't try to make plays. He just went with what was called offensively.
Yep.
I think this is the true Baker Mayfield showing up right now, the cockiness that we had seen trying to run from the police on the tapes when he was in college. Yeah. The reason why he had to leave Texas Tech is that you think you become bigger than the system because you have minimal success. Winning a game or two in the NFL is called minimal success.
Yep.
It's not longevity. It's not prolonged. It's called minimal success. So he has to come back and listen to Todd Haley. Run the play that's called. Don't get to the line of scrimmage and say, I can audible out of this.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason why you have that offensive coordinator and head coach, Charles.
Very good point, Big C. Last 10 minutes, Texas 20, the Bills 13. And them good old boys down in Texas. Houston, we have liftoff, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Texas, you look at Buffalo.
Yeah.
Even beyond Texas. Beyond Houston, rather. Here's a game where Josh Allen was there. He injured his elbow on a play, got hit in the elbow, Charlton.
Yeah.
Tried to go one more play, throw another pass, couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
Then you brought in the guy that every defensive back
in the
NFL wants to see.
Yeah.
And you think about it.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years, Nathan Peterman is leading the NFL in interceptions.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
He's leading the NFL in interceptions.
Well, hold on, Big C. Are you saying he has more interceptions than Kaepernick, who had 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and that's why he can't get a job? You saying Peterman throw more than that or less than that? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you look at Nathan Peterman, Charlton, he hasn't played 2 complete games in the NFL. Make that 3 complete games in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He has 9 interceptions.
Wow.
He's averaging 3 interceptions a game that he plays in, Charlton. In this last game, he didn't play but a quarter.
Yeah.
He threw 2 interceptions. And so every defensive back is always happy to see him come in. It used to be Eli Manning.
Yeah.
In the state of New York. The defensive backs are happy to see.
Yeah.
Now they moved Eli Manning in the second place because Nathan Peterman is playing now. And if the Buffalo Bills, if the Buffalo Bills feel that they can continue on, and I don't know how long Allen's going to be out. I hope he's back soon and the injury wasn't too severe to his elbow.
Yeah.
But you cannot go into an NFL game playing Nathan Peterman at quarterback and expect your teammates to believe in him, Charles. He doesn't even have confidence in himself.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So hopefully he'll be healthy. Big C, last couple of games, Dolphins 31, Bears 28 overtime. We said the heat and humidity would happen to the Bears, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Brock Osweiler is what happened to the Bears, Charlton. Everybody's still running back to tape and trying to find out how did the Dolphins get somebody to impersonate a quarterback. But, you look at Mitch Trubisky. He's the opposite of what Nathan Peterman is.
Yeah.
2 games, Charlton. He's thrown 9 touchdowns in his last 2 games. But here's the Bears. Everybody talked about Nagy, the quarterback. The head coach.
Yeah.
Who was the quarterback coach in Kansas City last year. How can he not get Trubisky to understand that you check down to receivers, Charlton?
Yeah.
That you can't always go deep.
Right.
You're this genius offensively. You got a team on the rope, Charlton, and you can't put them away.
Yep.
That shows me the lack of maturity of the coach and the quarterback.
Yeah.
But Brock Osweiler, Charlton, came out and played his best game as a pro, over 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Who would have ever thought it? Everybody in Las Vegas, all the bookies were ticked off after this game, Charlton.
Yeah, I know. A couple of them called me. Another game where they really were not ticked off. The Falcons 34, the Buccaneers 29. What a game if you like offense. And when I look at Winston he was 30 of 41. He had 2 picks, 395 yards. and your friend Ryan was 31 of 41, 354 yards. That's a big win for Atlanta, but it's the one also the Buccaneers let get away. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it was a great divisional game, talking between those two teams. And, everybody talked about the Fitz magic that was gone in Tampa. If you go back and look, Fitzpatrick only had 2 bad quarters, Charlton, in those 2 losses.
Yeah.
And a lot of those turnovers weren't his fault. In this game, Winston came out and gave up 2 interceptions in that game, but he's not going to be replaced.
No.
But, this was a game that if he had been sharper, Charlton, they could have won. They had Atlanta on the ropes. But, he showed a little bit of lack of maturity, Charlton, at times in the game, making bad decisions. And he has to find a way to get Deshaun Jackson involved in offense.
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick did. That's when they were winning.
Yep.
Until he gets Deshaun Jackson, still one of the best deep ball and route runners in the NFL involved in an offense, you can't expect much from Tampa Bay.
That's a very good point, too. But Jackson should have had that ball at the end. I mean, you can only put the ball some places. It's not going to be a perfect pass, but he had the hands on it. The Jets, Jets. I told you I went to college, basically. If there's one word I know how to spell is Jets. The Jets got to win over the Colts 42-34. And you have everybody saying, hey, this is the quarterback we thought we'd have. But really, Andrew Luck has no excuse losing to a rookie who should still be at Southern California. Big C, your thoughts?
The Colts really have no help for Andrew Luck, Charlton. Once again, here's a guy, I don't know if he thinks he's playing football or baseball.
Yeah.
He threw the ball 43 times in this game versus the Jets, Charlton.
Wow.
But, it just shows he has no help.
No.
When you throw the ball as much as Andrew Luck 163 times in your last 3 games, Charlton, you need to find a way to win.
Yeah.
But when you can't stop anybody defensively, and when you look at the game that Donald had against that Colts defense, as we talk about it, quarterbacks are not on the field against each other in these games.
No.
All they can do is go out and try to put up points. And he did put up enough points to win, Charles. It's just that defense has been spending so much time on the field versus opponents, Charlton. They're just worn out this early in the season. Now they're 1-5.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. Big C, 2 more games, actually 3 more games. We had the Redskins with a win over the Panthers, surprisingly 23-17. Alex Smith and the great Cam Newton. And Washington got a win. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you think about Alex Smith and Davis hooking up the tight end.
Yeah.
They did that same combination when they were in San Francisco. Now they're doing it in Washington, D.C., making touchdown receptions and passes. But, this is a team that went out and got after Carolina. Cam Newton, sometimes just reads the press clippings too much.
Yeah.
He's a guy, Charlton, that has as much athletic ability as any quarterback in the NFL.
Yep.
It's just, since that MVP season that he had, Charlton,
not the same.
It's hard to get Cam Newton to put it all together.
Yeah.
He spends as much time gloating about things as he does playing. And, I mean, he's too good of an athlete to be inconsistent.
I agree.
He's the one Achilles heel of that team, Charlton. When he decides he wants to be a 100% leader instead of an 85% leader, Carolina can win 12 games in a season.
I agree 100%. Last night's game, maybe the game of the year, Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid versus Belichick. They had Brady Mahomes. Did Kansas City bring a defense and did New England bring a defense at the storyline? We talked about how many penalties. Google Friday's show for anybody listening to the Sports Universe. We told you. This game was about penalties. Who would have penalties called against them at the right times or inopportune times. And there was a couple of times where Mahomes just missed the receiver that he could hit with his eyes closed twice in the first quarter because they got to have Brady winning. I'm telling you, the last time a person of color went up there under 25-1, it was Colin Kaepernick. And from then, it was the NFL turned against him because he beat the prodigal son in Tom Brady. And also, if you look at what he did to Rodgers, you can Google that. You'll see what I'm saying. Mahomes, not only did they fall behind, it's as if they were not completing passes that he could complete this with his eyes closed. And then New England, a big lead. He throws a pick six in the end zone. And then they come back and tie the game up anyway. And New England comes down. Brady's right around the 6-yard line. Some good boy has his arms around him. Instead of holding him, which would have forced a fourth down and goal from the 6-yard line, he let him go. And Brady runs about a 10-9-40, Big Z, and he ran to the end zone for a touchdown. If I didn't know friends in Vegas, I would say all is fair in love and war, Big Z. Your thoughts?
Well, you think about that touchdown run, Jonathan. That was the longest touchdown run of Brady's career, 4 yards. 4 yards.
Yeah.
And, I mean, The play clock ran out after 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And get to the end zone.
Yeah.
But, I look at that missed sack, Charlton, in that game.
Yeah.
And it's like, players have to learn. And what appalls me now, it almost personifies what they said about defensive players for decades, that they were unintelligent, put all the smart guys on offense, which is untrue.
Right.
But they have to learn how to adjust to this rule, Charlton.
Yeah.
When you sack a quarterback, which, as a former defensive lineman, you got a bit of euphoria when you smash the guy through the turf and you left a little indentation there.
Yeah.
And you heard that wind come out of him, and he cried like a little sissy.
And that's before kickoff, Big C, back in the day when you played.
You only get credited for a sack when you take a quarterback down. It doesn't make any difference how hard you put him down, even though it makes you feel better as a defensive lineman that you can drive him to the ground. He doesn't get up in a hurry.
Yeah.
But if you just grab him and lay him down, Charlton, it still counts as one sack.
Exactly.
If you slam him down, it counts down as one sack.
Yep.
So players have to understand. Just pull him to the ground.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Pull him to the ground. It counts as a sack. You got him in the grass. And so when you say, I don't want to get a penalty, you don't have to slam the guy and you won't get a penalty. That's what you have to understand. If you can ease up off of him, that means you don't have to slam him.
Yep.
So as players, people are going to say, well, Mahomes suffered his first loss. The Kansas City Chiefs defense suffered their first loss in that game,
Yep.
Because they are like matadors. If you've ever been to a bullfight, the tackling in the NFL nowadays, Charlton, it's like going to a Pop Warner game.
Yep.
I haven't seen anybody hit anybody. In the good old days, Charlton, I didn't mind taking a penalty to hit somebody. To me, it was a 15-yard game.
Yeah.
Think about how many 15-yard passes you see in an NFL game.
Yep.
But if you can lay that intimidation out there on somebody, Charlton, lay the intimidation out there. You're going to have to do it. You got to decide as a player. If he had to slam Brady to the ground on that sack, where would New England have got? They'd have gotten the ball at the 2. Okay?
Yeah.
That was as far as they could advance. It had been a 2-yard penalty if it had been a penalty.
Yeah.
So when these players are going out there thinking instead of playing the game, that's where they're missing the boat.
Yeah.
You spend all week in practice. You spent months during the summer in training camp. And if you're not intelligent enough to realize what you do to help your team win a game or lose a game by now, Charlton, maybe you should start retiring. But that game last night was all you could ask for in an NFL coming out party. Mahomes did not get outplayed by Brady. Brady didn't get outplayed by Mahomes. The New England defense had a better package against the Kansas City defense. And that was the point in the game, Charlton, when Andy Reid turned to the defensive coordinator, and they both just shrugged.
Yeah.
Because this is a team that's beat up physically.
Yeah.
Eric Berry hasn't played all year long, Charlton. He's a quarterback on defense for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They're hanging in there. Pat Mahomes has gotten them to the same record that they had at this point last season.
Yeah.
So it's a matter, can he get him past where they were last year? Because they won 5 of the last 7.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what they did. Now, this is a point, Charlton, where they have to continue on. They're going to beat the San Diego Chargers in the division. They've beaten them once already.
Yeah.
Those are the best two teams in their division, Charlton.
Yeah.
And 2 of the best 3 teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
So, but I'm satisfied with what I saw last night from both sides. The Patriots have reasserted themselves and said, we're back. We have our receiving core. We have a running game now. We're here to be contended with. We'll see you in the AFC Championship game.
Well, we will see you in the AFC Championship game. You have the 49ers and the Packers tonight. We can follow that more tomorrow. But we tell you every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage, please call 911. And as we always tell you, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.